good moments yesterday on the Uther, but then his Ana, the extravagant and exotic draft they had there, just didn't work out.
Not exactly sure if I agree with you there. As much as I would say that MJ does need to potentially step it up a bit, I would also say that depending on the hero, Rong and Sa also might have little weak points from each side. But at the moment, RPG doing their best to play the Ruiner for some of the higher level teams. They already lost 2-0 to the 1, so they can't do much about that. And same with Team Nut, but Team Nut are a little bit further down the table. But they were managed to steal a 1-1 from BTG, with the first game being one of the most savage HGC China games I've ever seen, and the second being the exact same from the opposite side.
Yeah. The first game yesterday we witnessed between RPG and BTG, I think that was a nail-biter. It was insanely close. It couldn't have been more exciting. And then, for some weird reason, RPG decided, you know what? Let's go to Towers of Doom, the first Towers of Doom game we have ever witnessed in this phase, and go for Ana. Make no sense.
Yeah, it was weird. It didn't work. It died the death. For now, though, we see Battlefield of Eternity coming in. Towers of Doom not bad out of spite this time by RPG. Instead, they chose to ban out, I believe that was Infernal.
Yep. There we go.
It was Tomb and something else. I didn't see what the other one was.
Absolutely true. So, what was it? Sorry, I didn't...
Battlefield is the map we are on.
It's BOE. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I wasn't really sure if it's Infernal or BOE, but sometimes the icons look a little different, especially if it's early in the morning, like it is for us, and we're just getting started. But we're here to get woken up by some of the Chinese explosive games that we were spoiled with the entire week. And let's see what the teams are going to bring to the table here. Up to this point, nothing special. The Genji ban makes a lot of sense. And back to the point that we were talking about yesterday, Tetcher, I was really happy to see a little bit of, variation, a little bit of a change of pace, if you will, for some of the teams, especially KT. Really surprised us there in that series, right? They keep innovating a little bit. They keep picking heroes that some of the other teams are hesitant or reluctant to pick. And I think at this point in time where the meta in China has stabilized a little bit, we see the same assassins in most of the games. We see a very fixed pattern in terms of supports. If you bring that new meta, if you break through, like that Sergeant Hammer composition we saw yesterday, you can really throw your opponents off and you can really triumph and get those points home.
This is true. This is true. If you can bring out something unexpected, then you might be able to take some wins. For now, though, we are seeing the A-team bringing out the Jaina. Not going to see the Stukov, though. It is going to be the Malfurion. Very sensible. Steal that away from RPG, as they are going straight for Chicken's Tracer.
He's rubbing his hands together. You can see it here. He seems to be very happy, although it could also just be, the warm-up procedure. As you guys know, pro players, the worst enemy of every pro player at an event or when playing an online cup is cold hands. It might sound weird, but if you ever played with cold hands yourself in the wintertime, for example, you know how your reactions and your overall speed in which you control your heroes is going to be decreased.
Yeah, there's a lot of little subtle rituals that a lot of players seem to go through before games. I'd be curious, that's a good interview question. Do you have any pre-game rituals? Might have to do that next event. As we see Karazim coming in as well. So a little bit of extra aggression. Karazim with Tracer is potentially really good because he's one of the few healers that can follow her safely and also assist her in her job, but also still a little bit more difficult because you have to follow Tracer.
Yeah, I wonder if we're going to see a double support comp here with Karazim being some, some sort of bruiser / melee assassin hybrid. Because, as you said,
sticking a TAS in there?
Yeah, maybe a Tassadar, actually, would make a lot of sense, I think. And then you go for Phoenix as the final pick, who could also solo lane. And boom, there you have a pretty deadly 4-man lane on BOE. But, you mentioned it perfectly. As a Karazim player myself, it's really hard to follow a Tracer. And you normally don't want to waste too many Radiant dashes just to, get to the Tracer who's brought herself into a sticky situation. So, got to be really careful in how you play it. The cool thing is, though, that the enemy team now doesn't have Karazim, and they can't pick it, because Karazim naturally is a great counter to the Tracer. He has good punching auto attacks if he goes for Iron Fist, and the Earth Ally level 4 is going to greatly diminish most of her auto attack damage.
So with Hanzo removed here, it's an acceptable ban, especially if they plan on going Tassadar, so that double support with double assassin behind it, Muradin just holding down the front line would have been completely fine, then just stick a solo laner in. So a very sensible ban here. But now RPG, with Jaina already on the board, no solo laners picked up for either team at the moment. It might just be prudent to ban Blaze, anyone who can really protect that Jaina backline.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think you'd need a little bit of protection there against the heavy aggression that we can up to this point see from RPG. You know, Muradin, a very aggressive engager. And there goes the Blaze ban because they too had the same thought process, you know. The bunker is so good when it comes to denying the Tracer. Pulse bomb value, for example, a 7-sided strike can completely be negated if all people from the enemy team just hop into the bunker in time. So I think that makes a lot of sense. Although I still think, Tetcher, that China right now has a little too much focus on the Blaze. I'm not saying this is a bad ban here, but in most of those games that we have witnessed, we actually came up with statistics yesterday as well, showing a negative win ratio on Blaze.
Yeah.
It's a little too much of a focus there, I feel. He can be great, don't get me wrong, but not in every single game.
It seems to be the theme with China, where they're just really slow to pick up the meta, and then they overcommit to the meta.
Exactly.
It seems to be a consistent theme. But with Blaze gone, that's fine. This is pre-Blaze nerf, by the way. We're a patch back, a patch or two back, so kind of cool to see. But now, though, with Blaze removed, solo lanes are available, so we may end up seeing a... maybe not a hacker, I was going to say, because this map's a little smaller, so instead we're going to see the Thrall get some poke damage in. So point-and-click damage on Tracer is always welcome.
Yeah, absolutely true. The more reliable your crowd control is, the easier you can normally deal with a Tracer who's so mobile and, as a result, has such an easy time dodging hard-to-hit skill shots. And that is normally the reason why Varian is so good against her, because you just use your taunt, and boom, there you have it. There you have a short time window in which you can burst her down. I'm pretty sure, we said it yesterday, that Varian is currently banned because of some weird interactions with his Shattering Throw. So they're probably not going to pick it up. Just like Volskaya Foundry, who's also currently disabled, but will be back in action next week when we change patches.
Exactly. And who knows how long, in fact, until we might even see Alterac Valley, what with the balance changes we have.
Oh, did you see them yesterday?
I did. They look interesting. I like the idea. Makes a lot of sense. But now, though, we'll talk about that during another break. As we see RPG bringing back the Medivh again. This should be Saar, I believe, which means Wrong should be playing the Phoenix.
Yeah.
This is interesting. There's no slows outside of Muradin.
And there's no real bruiser / melee assassin, so it's kind of hard to say which role Wrong is going to play this time.
Does Planet Cracker affect the Immortal?
I'm pretty sure it does, because it works against the Brax's wave as well.
That's true, because there's no slows.
Muradin has one, but that's about it. And of course the inbuilt slow from Phoenix, but that's rather unreliable.
I guess, unless you're going like full late at Plasma Cutter build. I feel unconfident in that. Honestly, I'm thinking with the amount of little bit of CC that they have, maybe just drop a ley line set up for it, let Muradin CC follow up. I might even think we might even see a Planet Cracker here. As we see Cassia to finish off for Olele here. A little bit of follow up there.
Okay.
It's not bad.
So I'm fully down with you here. I think the team composition from RPG looks good at first glance, but if you take a more detailed look at it, or more in-depth look at it, then you're going to notice, like you said, very little slows for the Purification Salvo. And even if Phoenix decided to go for the Planet Cracker, which we have seen sometimes in pro play, there's no real lockdown tool either. There's no Entomb, for example. There is no, let's say, Mosh Pit, for example, that you could trap enemies within. So it's kind of weird, right? But it's not like Phoenix becomes unplayable just because there aren't any great tools. It might have also been a counter pick, because look at the enemy team. They had Diablo, they had Thrall, and I'm pretty sure they would have loved to pick a Phoenix themselves, right?
Yeah, it was definitely a steal pick. But they're gonna have to make the most out of it now that they have it. It's still a really good assassin, just on its own. We've seen players carry with it. Hope, for example, almost 1v4'd with it at one point. But the fact is, you still have to get enough value to win a team fight out of it. And right now, I'm looking at their composition. And unless Phoenix is going to have to be very independent if they want to go Purification Salvo, otherwise he's going to have to adapt. He's going to have to take on some Zerg threats.
But let's see what A-Team has brought to the table here. Their draft, in my opinion, looks much more solid, much more coherent than what their opponents brought to the table. But can they make it work? That's the big question. Can they execute it? As they are the only team up to this point without any points in the league. But it could be their time to shine up to this point, maybe now. The A-Team, we're going to introduce them to you. With Jaina on the Jaina, big surprise here. O'Lily playing the Cassia. We have Bruiser on that Thrall. Stukov's playing Malfurion. And Uncle G, the main tank, on Diablo.
And on the right-hand side, the only of these two teams with an actual point. It's RPG, with Chicken on the Tracer, MJ on the Karazim, Sar on the Phoenix, C on the Muradin, and Wrong BGG, playing the Medivh. So I got those two mixed up, Sar and Wrong.
Yeah, so it's Wrong on the Medivh after all. Okay, we suspected this role or hero distribution. So let's see what they're going to be able to make. I really like that Cassia pick, by the way, Tetra. If you look at RPG's composition here, Tracer, mostly physical damage, Karzi, mostly physical damage, and of course the same goes for Phoenix. So if Olele is having a good day and he keeps moving to activate his physical armor trait, then I think he's going to be very, very resilient in those up-following skirmishes here. For now, though, A-Team already turning on the heat here, trading tower for tower, because they are mirroring each other's efforts, and Bruiser on that Thrall needs to be very careful not to really become the main target. He's executing that minion, so the tower aggro will switch to an actual hero. And so far, both teams actually mirroring each other's movements on the map.
True, but the fact is, this comes out as an advantage for, this should come out as an advantage for RPG here, as they're going to be very much slowing down the stacking process of Thrall, and because they were being attacked behind their gates and just played very passively, and didn't have as many people down here, they were also denying stacks to Cassia. So overall, this should come out very ahead for RPG. The question is, can they also gain value elsewhere on the map as they attempt to raid the camp, but it's not working so well. The portal, however, makes sure that they don't lose anything for it.
Yeah, actually, they're having a 5-man rotation here. They're really committed to finding a target and kill it, because otherwise they're going to lose so much experience in the top lane. C actually on that Muradin going in very, very aggressively, but they can find an opening in the defenses of the A-Team. Actually, they're looking mighty healthy, and as a result, if Thrall has actually stalled the wave here a little bit, they might lose some precious experience. You can already see it in the global count there, 3.5 to 3. A rather unsuccessful invade here by RPG, but they should be able now to deal with those mercenaries themselves.
Medivh back in bird form. Not only because he just isn't adding much to the wave clear himself, but also because he doesn't want to give Olele more stacks as they begin to move forward, as Wrong actually gathers a couple of its own stacks here.
Yeah, Medivh cannot really, sit idly in the early game either. He needs to accomplish his Master's Touch. He needs to accomplish as many stacks and enemy heroes as possible to ramp up his damage and the cooldown reduction on his Arcane Rift. Now, Bruiser might be the target of an upcoming gank here, but the anticipation here, look at those prediction routes. Beautifully done here on the portal.
Very well timed here, able to give himself a nice escape route. We are going to see the Ring of Leech coming in for Cassia. Very standard here. No sneaky War Travelers or anything like that, or Plate of Whales. Sorry, War Traveler is level 7. I still see that. It's very unlikely. But nice and normal instead. Tracer, though, taking a little bit of a risk. We're going for the untouchable.
Yeah, trying to increase her damage.
He's no chicken.
He's definitely not chickening out of this one. All right, Uncle G, he's trying to go in, trying to basically invade the Immortal and absorb some of the incoming abilities and auto attacks. The portal is currently not available. Both teams actually with respective mercenary pressure in the top lane for RPG and the bottom lane for their opponents, the A-Team. And Sa actually decided to defend on that Phoenix, so naturally this was a 5 versus 4 situation. I'm not sure if that was worth it for RPG unless they regroup now, defend very aggressively, and maybe kill a member or two of the A-Team. Otherwise, I think that's just going to be a clean and easy first Immortal for the blue team.
It might be. Finally, we're seeing Olele taking a little bit of damage, gets a lovely blind on both Karazim and Tracer, but not able to escape thanks to a snipe by Wrong. But good damage coming in from Sar is forcing the rest of the A-Team away, but they do need someone to at least try starting to get the counter race.
But is it really working out, though, for RPG? Because if you look at it, currently only Tracer is attacking the Blue Immortal, and it's going to take a while. It's going to take a long time for her to chip it down to the equal percentage of the Red Immortal. So all that RPG needs to do right now is defend, right? Medivh is providing good vision, so that is nice. But I love the build adjustment, by the way, by Jaina. You know, you see the Frost Bolt range here, so she can actually harass and poke from a great distance. Bruiser completely body blocked.
Lovely. Lovely body box here by C, really setting up, and once again, the Immortal is zoned away from as Tracer heads back to the grindstone.
Could this actually work out? I think RPD is doing a splendid job actually defending this.
It's going to take a really long time, and C needs to regain a lot of health. They need to actually play a little bit more aggressively, because it looks like they're just not feeling confident, but Tracer's getting there. It's taking a really long time, but she's getting there. They need to start zoning again. C, diving deep. That's the correct move. Down goes Jaina, in fact. They not only zone, they get a kill looking for two as Olena takes a lot of damage. Nice route by Thrall, though, preventing Sar from chasing any deeper.
Yeah, and they're doing an astounding job of actually stalling out enough time. Still, though, the Blue Immortal is significantly healthier than the red one, so I think A-Team might still be able to get it with Cassia now committing to it. Thrall dropping those Chain Lightnings to chip it down even more. Can they do it? Can they hold it? I think they can, despite losing a couple of members here and giving a little bit of experience over to the RPG team. I think they still managed to get it. Now I'm gonna have to open the door because someone just won't stop ringing.
Alrighty, you go do that. I'll take over for a bit as we see the Soa banner, nice and cool there, coming in from the A-Team as they do pick up the first Immortal of the game. Going to be pushing into the top lane, and they begin to set up for it, putting on the pressure, piling on any kind of damage to clean out the minions. Here we're going to see a single tower taken down as quick as possible. Sar trying to siege the Immortal as best he can, using just Phase Bomb because he wants to stay at range. No rapid fire mode here, because he will put himself in danger of exactly this. Immortal Stun comes down. He gets caught, but the Force of Will that blocks the majority of the damage, and he's able to teleport away. Very close call there by Sar, but he's still very low. Needs to play safe around this area. Cassia already on 29 stacks of Thunderstroke. Made that 30 as we see him engaged upon here. Good blind onto Muradin, who gets caught in the root. The Jada slow is good, and C trying to attack as best he can, and he dwarf tosses away. But this fort shall fall.
This fort shall fall indeed. Thanks for taking over, by the way, buddy.
No
but
worries.
you know, sometimes the mailman just won't stop until he confirms that someone is actually at home or not. But so be it. All right. Back in the game, let's see what happened here. A-Team was actually able to get a little bit of work done with that Immortal. I'm glad to see A-Team actually moving towards potentially that first victory on the second phase of 2018 here. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. By the same token, though, level 10 is going to make a big difference for both teams, I think. But, Tetra, do you think that A-Team, I think they may actually have a bigger power spike, right? With potentially the Flaming, the Lightning Breath, potentially an Earthquake. I think they're going to have so much CC, Ring of Frost.
I mean, I'm not sure they should go Lightning Breath. I'm looking at their composition. I'm thinking Earthquake APOC because Lightning Breath, there's Blink, there's Dash, there's Teleport. No one's really going to be able to stay in that Lightning Breath for very long.
Might have a point, but the same...
However, might allow them to catch out Tracer.
Yeah, the same applies to the Apocalypse, though, right? So...
That's true.
Yeah. They're going to have to...
It's up to them.
Yeah, they're going to have to patiently wait until Medivh uses his portal there. But here goes a big blow up onto the Phoenix. They are making this look like a piece of cake. The portal was actually there, but thanks to the great roots by Stukov on the Malfurion, there was no way for Phoenix to actually enter it.
The A-Team really showing up in this game number 1, already at level 10. Water Elemental, Ball, Lightning. There is the Lightning Breath. So we are staying a little bit normal here. Not going for any kind of old-fashioned. That's a Sundering, though, so not staying that normal here.
Okay.
So the perfect disengage. Oh, you're trying to Lightning Breath. I'm going to split absolutely everyone.
Yeah, what's really cool about the Sundering pick here as well against the Medivh is the fact that you can actually knock people to the side just when they were about to enter the portal. So you can really bring a lot of confusion and a lot of shutting down to the combos and escape mechanisms of a Medivh here. So I'm kind of digging it. I've always been a big fan of Sundering. I probably pick it almost every single time I play through all my Hero League games. And I can't wait to see what Bruiser is going to, you know, make happen here. But here we go. Leyline Seal is good.
Lightning Fury is completely stacked. The Lightning Breath only really hitting Chicken as Diablo stands in the boss stun to try and get that damage. He lowers Chicken's health quite a bit, but not really enough. In comes the Salvo. No slows really, but it's still enough to take out Olele just using the Plasma Cutter as the setup as Murder goes deep.
Murder goes very deep indeed, and here comes Uncle G. He had full stacks on his Soulstone quest. That's why he's only had 5 seconds of death time. But they also managed to get the Cassia with a beautiful 7-sided strike there by MJ. And now it's once again the A-team here trying to finish off the Red Immortal. And only Tracer and Karazim actually attacking the Blue Immortal this time, speeding up the process. But can they do it? Look at Jaina's formidable range there, thanks to her Frost Bolt quest at level 1. Here goes another portal, and here goes RPG defending once more.
Diablo with the charge, getting Medivh. The stacks are, I assume, removed.
Oh, they were completed.
Think he was fully stacked. Oh, excellent. Good for him. As we do see the Immortal coming in once again for the A-team. Slightly lower shield this time. Actually, no, it's a bit of a higher shield this time, so they're going to try and get a little bit of extra push.
Yeah, the good thing is that most of the team members of the A-team, they weren't even forced to use their heroic abilities. We still have Sundering, we still have Ball of Lightning, which came back on cooldown, off cooldown, and there we go. We also have the Tranquility back in action. Now, I also like the fact that Jaina didn't go for the Ring of Frost, because obviously there's a lot of burst protection. Speaking of burst, here goes Thrall. He takes a little bit of self-sustain. He's the king of self-sustain, but can he stay alive this time?
Malf with the Tranquility, keeping everyone alive as Olele chases down the ball. Lightning does not get much value, but the Lightning Fury does. Picks up 1 kill, looks for another, but just misses Sar as they begin moving to the Immortal. They're going to try and get a key.
That unfortunately was the worst timing for RPG to lose one of their members, especially Medivh. A lot less protection now available for heroes like Phoenix or Tracer. And of course, the keep is already being marched upon here by the A-team. Can they get this first huge objective after only 11 minutes into the game? I think they can.
Yeah, keep goes down pretty easily. Immortal all over half health at this point, so no need to worry about that at all. But the A-team not going to take any unnecessarily risky core attempts with that relatively low Immortal by that stage. So instead just going to pull back. And it looks like Top Mercenary is going to be the name of the game.
Tetcher, is that the same A-team that we witnessed yesterday? Because they're playing so much more crisply, so much more cleanly here. Because if you compare them to yesterday, for example, the day before yesterday, there wasn't even a chance for them in most of those games. And RPG, quite frankly, they looked pretty good yesterday themselves in Game 1. So is it RPG faltering, or is it A-team actually just playing a whole different game today?
It's an excellent question. Right now, RPG, they haven't really been able to choose the majority of the fights. I like their little move here that they chose to try and raid the opponent's mercenary camp. Unfortunately, their clear speed just too slow to be able to make this kind of play happen. But their damage output, you'd think it would be feasible, but they haven't, like I said, been able to choose their engagements. Instead, most of these fights have started with Diablo just engaging and killing Phoenix.
Yeah, and if you think about it, with the exception of the 7-sided strike, there isn't really a whole lot that can threaten this Diablo, right? Tracer's pulse bomb isn't really hitting as hard as it used to. Medivh has very little damage against tanks as well. Only the 7-sided, and that one can be shut down so easily if other, enemy members are just walking into the circle. Thrall, Cassia, they can absorb a couple of those shots. Even Jaina could, only to ice block then later. So I think it's a pretty common theme that we've been seeing in China up to this point, that if your team lacks tank shredding, and if your team lacks threatening potential for those aggressive frontliners like Diablo, for example, or a Garrosh, then you're going to be just, fighting on the back foot for the most part, because you can choose your points of engagements. You can keep the enemy team at back.
We see the A-team moving on, not so much choosing their point of engagement here, but choosing their race potential, moving onto the aggressive Immortal.
Yep.
Stormbolt lands, but easy dodge by Uncle G on the Immortal stun as they continue to siege in the damage. Tracer is not here, she's grabbing XP for them, trying to get them to level 13.
Here it is.
They do now have Leyline is there for the setup. Lightning Breath is used as a try and zone 7-sided. It was split in terms of the damage. The salvo doesn't even kill Uncle G. The Tranquility, so much healing here. And RPG, even after all that damage, can't pick up a kill.
Yeah, that was amazing healing here done by Stukov on that Malfurion. You mentioned it. And you know what we mentioned during the draft, Tetcher? We said there are very little slows to trigger the Purification Salvo. And guess what? If Diablo had been slowed there by some other hero by any other hero, he would have been executed, and that fight would have gone much easier for RPG. But as it is, only minimal damage for Phoenix, only minimal damage for RPG as a whole as a result, and they're probably going to have to give up yet another Immortal.
Chicken just pinging damage onto Uncle G. Good Storm Bolt, but quick Nature's best just in case. Asar having to pull back as well. He is once again been the engaged target a lot of these times. So he's actually going to back up here. So, oh no, he cancels his port. He was going to try and clear up the structure, the catapults, while also getting his health back. As we see Chicken being forced back. Karazine, 7-sided strike, just keep himself alive and out of Malfurion route. It is successful as Olele finds herself a little bit out of position here. Good sundering though, and the blind keeps her alive.
Yeah, I mean, no matter what you try to do now as the A-team, you always seem to have the perfect answer. Hold that thought. Medivh goes down again. They find a spot. They try to find a second one. Murden hopping to safety here. Phoenix barely tickling the enemy team here. A-team is just continuing to march forward with the most powerful Immortal that we have yet seen in this game. And guess what? It's scaling harder than before as well. The bottom keep already destroyed. That's why these catapults are hammering on the red core. And I think, Thatcher, if one more team member dies, 16 is around the corner as well, they're going to be able to seal the deal here and take game number 1. A-team, that is.
A camp went down before Diablo had even finished his souls. Sorry, a keep went down, as we do see this second keep becoming under fire. The A-team, this is looking really good. I'm wondering if they can be stopped in this particular match, as we see Murden getting double hit though. The Forcible is good. The Leyline still hits pretty much everyone. Tracer tries to 1v1 Jada. He gives it up. He bottles it. But Cassia has already been taken down. Chicken is super low. Star also trying to buy some time. Uncle G is diving forward, and of course it's Sar. Down he goes as MJ able to escape. Sundering still comes out though. C in danger, able to leap backwards. But the Immortal has already taken down this keep.
Yeah, the keep has been destroyed, and the Immortal is still sitting at roughly 90% of his health. Are they going to try to go for the core? 20 seconds until Phoenix comes back. All the other DPS are still looking mighty fine. They take down the Tracer, and now with staggered deaths on their main assassins, I think there's no way for RPG to actually defend this. Wrong is still trying to buy a little bit of time, stepping in, dancing in and out in the portal. Bruiser, though, and the rest of his boys, they're knocking on the door here. They're trying to finish the game, and they do so successfully despite a really good early pickup there on the Cassia. It was not enough for RPG to hold the onslaught. And A-team, congratulations, my dudes. You have earned your first point in HGC China 2018 Phase 2.
That they have. Now it's a question of whether they can move themselves out of last place by overtaking RPG with the 2-0, or whether RPG will continue to hold a 1-point lead over them.